So I'm going to talk a little bit about my research and just a few words of why I'm doing this. So as Thomas said, I have background in forestry investments across Europe since last 10 years or so. And in the last couple of years, I started to get interested in what Domenico has been talking about, the carbon opportunity for forest owners. And realized that this is a big business outside Sweden, particularly in US and some other geographies as well, and that it's actually quite a well-established business. But something that is emerging and that is not so well developed is actually biodiversity. And this is why I decided that perhaps it's time that we look into how can we create an equal opportunity for income for forest owners that comes from enhancing or restoring biodiversity. Let's see. Therefore, I'm very grateful that I'm given the opportunity by SLU and all the support I'm getting from the World Forest Foundation, who are the hosts here today, and also the Svea Green Foundation for my research. So what I'm doing is that we are looking at what is the concept of biodiversity credit, how can we develop it? And we also want to test the interest by financial and business sectors to actually purchasing this biodiversity credit. And as a part of my research, also conduct a test transaction to see how this actually works. And the idea is that the biodiversity credit should contribute to biodiversity net positive outcome. And I suppose that we don't need to talk too much in this group about why biodiversity is important. There are numerous papers and data on this. This particular slide is from WWF, the Living Planet Index, that is showing a dramatic decline in biodiversity since the 1970s. It's a 68% decline in global biodiversity. So obviously there is a need to do something about it. And when looking at what is the global financing need for biodiversity, there are a couple of papers written on this. We can see that the annual financing need is somewhere between $800 to $900 million per year. That is the total size of the block to the left here. What is already covered by various types of financing is the green part, and that's around 120, 130 perhaps million dollars per year. And the rest is the financing gap. And also what is quite interesting to note here is that the green bit, the already covered financing bit, is traditionally and all today currently financed usually through taxation of different kinds. So it is usually public money through different government programs for protected areas or intergovernmental cooperation like between countries, like the stuff we do in, I don't know, developing countries to protect certain areas and so. But still there is this huge gap. And where is this money going to come from that is going to fill this gap? And this is what I'm looking at. Can we find an alternative or a complement to the public financing for biodiversity protection and restoration? In order to develop a biodiversity credit, I would like to just say a few words about the process itself and the ecosystem that is necessary for a credit to work. So here I have been looking at the voluntary carbon credit processes and how they are organized. And usually how it works is that there is a set of methodologies that a forest owner can work with. and the selection of forest area is done according to what methodologies are appropriate to use. There is some kind of certification body and a third-party audit process involved in order to provide trustworthiness of the process and transparency. And upon certification, the credits are released to the buyer. And when the buyer pays for the credit, the landowner gets paid for the actual ecosystem service that they have provided. And so I think that the similar ecosystem can be used even for biodiversity credits. Together with where are you, my colleague over there, Martin, there, we have developed 3 different methodologies for biodiversity credits. That is a methodology for restoration, improved forest management, and conservation. And I'm going to say a few more words about it a little bit later on. But first, I would like to make a distinction between biodiversity offsets and biodiversity credits before we go forward. Tim has been talking about biodiversity offsets and biobanks, which are usually connected to a regulatory requirement. But what we are trying to do here is to create an instrument that is solely voluntary. So it's not connected to any kind of legal requirement or permit process, but just a positive impact that a company can do in order to provide financing for biodiversity. So those 3 methodologies that I have mentioned, they are currently out and public for public consultation. There is a web page for this process. It is biodiversitycredits.se, and I encourage everybody who wants to go there and download the documents and comment them. We would be very grateful to receive as many comments as possible to make those methods better. So now a few words about each methodology. So the conservation methodology's main aim is to preserve already existing high nature conservation values. It can be, for example, old growth forest or some features that resemble old growth features. And here we suggest that the voluntary set-asides should be included in these procedures. Then we have a methodology for restoration. So for example, if we find a forest area that has good preconditions to create, let's say, a wet forest area or a wet forest area, then we will see how we can re-wet that land and promote certain broadleaf species to come in, and we would take out the spruce, for example. And then the third one is improved forest management methodology, which aims at promoting close to nature forest management practices which are above and beyond what conventional forestry in Sweden is doing today. Although it is already quite adapted, we do sustainable forest management here. But this is an opportunity for the forest owner to get reimbursement for extra additional silvicultural measures that will lead to higher nature values. So we are hoping that after this public consultation process that we can improve the methodologies and test it on a live project. We have one forest owner, which we are actually going to meet on a Monday coming week. And this forest owner is very, very keen to be included and to put forward his property and see what we can do, what values we can find, and what methodologies we can apply on his land. So the idea there is to really test live what works, what doesn't, and conduct a first transaction. We also have a Swedish bank who is willing to be the first buyer of those pilot credits, and we're very, very grateful and happy about that. And so what is the interest so far? I have been lucky enough to have been invited to numerous conferences here during the spring. I've been to a forestry investment conference in London and another one in Poland, where I've presented exactly the same thing. And it has been an overwhelming positive feedback I have gotten from both forest owners, investors, but also potential buyers of the credits. And what I hear from people is that this is what we have been waiting for. We're really looking for a transparent instrument that we can use to deploy finance, and we're looking forward to having a positive impact. So the road forward is that we are awaiting to get the comments through the public consultation by the end of June, and to prepare the pilot during the summer and early autumn, and that have this pilot and the first transaction ready by the end of October. So that's what I'm doing right now. Thank you very much.